But let's go back to the Obama speech yesterday, which I assume that most of you heard parts of. Yes? Okay, well, if you did not, he said that he could not condone so many of the things that his reverend, who has headed the church for the last 20 years, he's been going, Obama, for the last 20 years, but he could not disown him any more than he could disown his own grandmother, who occasionally made anti-ethnic or anti-black.
Yeah, he threw her right under the bus.
He did not throw her under the bus at all.
Why don't we hear what he said, and then we can discuss more.
Sure.
I can no more disown him than I can disown my white grandmother, a woman who helped raise me, a woman who sacrificed again and again for me, a woman who loves me as much as she loves anything in this world, but a woman who once confessed her fear of black men who passed her by on the street, and who on more than one occasion has uttered racial or ethnic stereotypes that made me cringe.
Now, is that the same as his also saying that, yes, he has been in the church where the Reverend made these very inflammatory remarks that goddamn America and other accusations about what white people have done? Is it the same?
I don't think it was accurate, in just my opinion, to equate his grandmother with Reverend Wright's statements. And I think that I don't think we're ever going to hear a speech from Senator Obama that sounds bad. He is incredible. Exactly. He is charismatic. He's thoughtful. He knows how to communicate, and that is a powerful tool. However, I still have issue with the fact that, you know, if we go back in time, when Don Imus uttered those racial tones and words that he did, Senator Obama was one of the first to call for his resignation. He said he should step down. Hey, let me finish. Let me finish. And he said, why should I hurry up?
It's only a 1-hour show. We all have to talk.
That's unfair. That is unfair. He said there's nobody on my staff who would still be working for me if they made a comment like that and about anybody of any ethnic group. And then he refused to appear on Don Imus's show. He said, I'll never go on. But he returned to this church time and time again. How many times and how many racist slurs do you hear? Before you walk out of church.
No, because Joy had a comment.
Okay, but so did you before the... You want to go or you want to wait for Joy?
I was just going to say...
you, my dear Alphonse.
Okay, I was just going to say, this preacher, like he said, he suffered racism full force, and that's where he's coming from. He's angry about that. But you're getting a soundbite, a clip of 20 seconds, and everybody around this table, if you took your sound bites, somebody could say Elizabeth is racist. You are not racist, but if they looked at but I'm saying if they took a little bit of a sound bite, Elizabeth, and they played it over and over again.
Let me tell you, the quotes that we heard, are on a DVD that is being sold in that church, okay? The quotes that we heard, many of them that we heard, many of the racial undertones of the Reverend speaking are sold on a DVD in that church. What does that mean to me? If my church is selling a DVD, that's the cornerstone of what they're preaching.
No, that is not the cornerstone of what Trinity Church is preaching.
We already passed that conversation. We're talking about Imus, I thought.
Imus, yes. He said, I will never go on that show, yet he returned to this church for 20 years. How many things do you have to hear before you say,
said something about nappy-headed hose, which struck Obama personally because he has 2 little girls.
Absolutely. It struck me, and I'm white.
But you're
it didn't strike you the way it struck
together. This is a more personal response to Imus. Plus, can I just say one more thing?
Not right.
That I found it such a relief to hear such a literate speech. If George Bush were giving a speech on race, it would be about NASCAR. Okay? Let me just say
apples and oranges.
I'm just happy to hear a literate, intelligent, sophisticated speech from a presidential candidate to show that America does have the ability to raise the standard of literacy in this country so that people don't have to make fun of us from nation to nation around the world, including every comedian.
What you just said could be offensive to blacks. That you are happy to hear a literate speech. You're not, but you know, because it's like saying, you remember last week when somebody talked about somebody being articulate and Whoopi, I believe, or somebody said, but you wouldn't call a white person articulate.
Why can't this be offensive to whites since I'm saying George Bush is illiterate?
Good. I'm just saying that this is how.
This is how things can be out of context.
I mean, you can do whatever you want with
out of context, like they took Reverend Wright's speech.
Well, put it in a context that sounds good. Wait.
Just said.
Put it in a context that sounds good.
Hold on. I let you speak all the time. What you just said, when you said he was literate, you were talking about George Bush saying something about NASCAR and race. If you take it out of context, that little part of what you said about Obama, and put it on YouTube and played it, they could say you were racist.
That's what I was just saying.
KKK. In a context that sounds good. It doesn't.
Okay. My turn? Okay. There are other things that are going to go on. Last week, when Whoopi was sitting in this chair, she talked about the fact that we, white people, do not hear things the same as black people do. And I said something to Whoopi about, does that mean we have to be careful? And she said, yes. I am so pleased that Barack Obama, whatever we think, agree or disagree, that we are able to have this dialogue of things that we have kept in ourselves. As a white person, I am often afraid of saying the wrong thing on this program or even privately. This morning on Good Morning America, Chris Cuomo said to Senator Obama, there was a brief interview, suppose that I told you in my church that there was a Ku Klux Klan preacher. How would you feel about my attending that church? And Senator Obama said, well, that's different because the Ku Klux Klan attacked all whites, whereas the Reverend, I think, just attacked rich whites. We are going to hear more of this. But finally, at least I feel, and I think we all do, that, and on this program we have been able to do it. Bless us, we have been able to do it, that we can finally talk about it without being afraid that we are offending. And one of the most important things is something you brought up about what Senator Obama said about going beyond.
Well, I like, can we do have time to show this clip?
We do have
okay, what he said about his sermons. There's a clip that he said about going forward, if we have that clip.
We do.
The profound mistake of Reverend Wright's sermons is not that he spoke about racism in our society. It's that he spoke as if our society was static, as if no progress had been made.
And the thing that I want to say about this is, you know, Reverend Wright has an anger because I feel like he experienced this racism full force, but we have moved forward. I mean, there are 2 women of color on a huge talk show. If you look at TV, you don't see 2 black women. You might see one.
Well, you don't
running
see them
today. And the fact that there's 2 women of color on this kind of show. Oh my gosh, Barbara, thank you. What kind of progress are we making? We're moving forward.